Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for CalRecycle's May 2026 public meeting. I'm CalRecycle's Communications Director, Ronalyn, and I'll be filling in for our directors today. Unfortunately, Director Heller and Chief Deputy Director McIntyre are currently at a budget hearing this morning. Before we begin, here is a brief safety and interpretation announcement.
Language shouldn't be a barrier when it comes to protecting our air, water, and land. CalRecycle is simulcasting this meeting or workshop in English and Spanish. You can find the live stream links on CaliPA's public webcast webpage. If you're attending this meeting or workshop in person at CaliPA headquarters, we have interpretation devices available. Let our team know if you need one. El idioma no debe de ser una barrera cuando se trata de proteger nuestro aire, nuestra agua y tierra. CalRecycle está transmitiendo simultáneamente esta junta pública o taller en español e inglés. Puede encontrar los enlaces para la transmisión en vivo en la página web de transmisiones públicas de CaliPA, la Agencia de Protección del Medio Ambiente de California. Si asiste a esta junta o taller en persona en la sede central de CaliPA, tenemos dispositivos de traducción disponibles. Informa a nuestro equipo si necesita uno.
In the event of a fire alarm, we are required to evacuate. Take your valuables and use exit signs. Do not use the elevators. If you cannot use stairs, you will be directed to a protected vestibule inside a stairwell. If relocated, exercise caution while crossing the street. En caso de que suene la alarma de incendios, es necesario evacuar. Tome sus objetos de valor y siga las señales de salida. No utilice los elevadores. Si no puede usar las escaleras, será dirigido a un vestíbulo protector. Si es reubicado, tenga cuidado al cruzar la calle.
A quick reminder, we will briefly pause after each agenda item to give our live Spanish language interpreters time to relay information. There's great work happening across the state, so let's take a look at a video highlighting recent recycling and zero waste events in California.
This new operation offers a glimpse into the system we're all working to build. Instead of cartons being sent overseas or to landfills, you are showing how they can be recycled domestically and responsibly by creating new building materials here in California. Being able to see a product that has something that you may have used yesterday in it is incredibly powerful. When businesses, governments, and communities unite behind our shared goals of less waste and more circular systems, we accelerate progress. Projects like this strengthen the infrastructure that helps us reduce waste and keep materials in circulation as long as possible.
Food waste, commercial food waste that's collected within Sonoma County gets brought to our facility and gets depackaged essentially with our Megathor. So it goes into our system. The food gets separated from the garbage. Food goes into a trailer where it gets sent for now to a digester to make power.
Hey everyone, Michael here, your new CalRecycle bestie, taking you along with me to my trip to Los Angeles for the La Casa Zero Waste event. Okay, so let's go in. So this house was actually staged to go ahead and demonstrate how we can reduce, reuse, and recycle. For example, in the bathroom, there are shampoo and conditioner bars that don't have plastic packaging. There's compostable toothbrushes. Then we went to the kitchen for cooking with consciousness. That's Rafa, our community engagement manager, giving an interview. That is the chef, Armando Quiros, who showed us how to go ahead and cook more sustainably. This event was absolutely amazing, and it was actually catered to the Latino population. So the event itself was actually in English and Spanish. It included content creators, the media, community partners, and we even had a special dinner. Now, if you want to get involved, go ahead and follow us for more and visit our English and Spanish website.
Such a good video, Michael. A quick reminder, we will be taking live public comments throughout the meeting. Please raise your hand in Zoom or call in now if you have any comments on the upcoming items, plastic pollution prevention law implementation, Textile Stewardship and Battery Recycling Act implementation, or climate investments. Let's run to Division of Circular Economy, Deputy Director Michelle Martin for reform and program updates.
Morning, everybody. Okay, let's get right into it. On May 1st, 2026, the Office of Administrative Law approved the permanent regulations for SB 54 and filed them with the Secretary of State. The regulations became effective upon filing. Producers have until June 1st to do one of the following. One, if participating in the approved producer responsibility organization, register with Circular Action Alliance, CAA, and submits supply data to CAA. 2, if complying individually, entities can register with CalRecycle and apply to be an independent producer. And 3, if qualifying for an exemption for a small producer, register with CalRecycle and apply for a small producer exemption. CalRecycle's website has a new producer webpage along with downloadable guidance materials to help program participants with the transition. The guidance documents that are currently posted include identifying covered materials, are you a producer, guidance for submitting a categorically excluded materials notice for food and agricultural commodity packaging, and more resources will be posted very soon. A quick reminder that the Packaging Producer Responsibility Advisory Board will not be meeting this month. The next meeting is scheduled for June 26th here in the CalEPA headquarters building. Next, the Responsible Textile Recovery Act requires producers of materials, such as textile articles and apparel, to join the Producer Responsibility Organization, who is Landfill. Which is Landfill USA by July 1st, 2026. Producers of covered products can register online through Landfill's website, register.landfillusa.com. And as a reminder, CalRecycle is holding an informal Battery Recycling Act public rulemaking workshop on June 16th, 2026 to solicit feedback on the updated draft regulations. More information, including an agenda and Zoom registration link, will be announced through CalRecycle's Battery Stewardship Listserv and proposed regulations listserv soon. And now we're going to shift to an update on climate investments to walk us through the latest breakdown and what that means for our communities. And I'll hand it over to Stephanie Frieders and Mia Kawamoto.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm Stephanie Frieders, a Greenhouse Gas Reduction Grants Program Manager here at CalRecycle. And today with my colleague Mia, we will provide an update on some California Climate Investment Grant outcomes from the fiscal year 21-22 state budget circular economy package. This funding package allocated 2 fiscal years of funding to support implementation of goals to reduce short-lived climate pollutants, including advancing organic waste infrastructure, edible food recovery, composting activities, as well as other non-organic recycling opportunities. All right. The Edible Food Recovery and Community Composting for Green Spaces grant program cycles highlighted here are the result of the funding provided by the Circular Economy Package, and we will highlight larger infrastructure grant projects from this funding package at a future public meeting. The Financial Resources Management Branch and statewide Technical and Analytical Resources Branch staff collaborated to implement these 2 programs, which provide valuable resources to the community through recovering and distributing edible food, creating compost that is used in schools and community gardens, planting trees, and providing jobs. The Edible Food Recovery Grant Program funds projects to either collect edible food to feed people or prevent food waste from being created at the source. These projects were previously funded by the Food Waste Prevention and Rescue Grant Program. With the funding provided, CalRecycle was able to fund 21 new projects made up of 14 nonprofit organizations, including 2 food banks, 2 cities and counties, 1 private organization in partnership with a nonprofit food recovery organization, 1 university, and 2 tribes. Grant funds supported the procurement of refrigeration systems, storage and collections infrastructure, heavy equipment, transportation, education outreach, and jobs. 18 million pounds of edible food was recovered and distributed to the communities, which resulted in over 15,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent reduced through landfill diversion. CalRecycle was also able to create new cycles of the Community Composting for Green Spaces grant program, which funded 19 grants supporting 83 sites across many of the major regions in California. The grant program also included 2 cycles dedicated to qualifying tribal entities, which awarded 11 grants supporting 13 community compost sites on tribal lands.
Together, the cycles from this funding source resulted in over 600 trees planted, over 5,000 cubic yards of compost produced, and over 3,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent reduced through landfill diversion. Here are two examples of the great work that our grantees are doing. Common Vision. Common Vision is a nonprofit organization that was awarded $224,457. Grant funds supported the purchase of a food recovery van, coolers, ice packs, and food storage bins. They provided education and training to staff and the community. Common Vision has a holistic and unique community stewardship model. Along with the traditional donation pickups and distribution, Common Vision integrates food recovery into school gardens and environmental education, engaging various parts of their community. Students are involved not only in food recovery and composting, but also in caring for fruit trees and habitat gardens, while College Corps fellows and parent volunteers are trained in safe food handling practices and land stewardship skills. Recovered food is also used to prepare meals at workshops and monthly community tree planting events, which consistently draws strong attendance, strengthening community ties, and improving their urban forestry. Now, Chicken Ranch Rancheria of Miwok Indians Tribe in Tuolumne County was also awarded $249,867, and their project goal was to divert all recoverable edible food generated at the Chicken Ranch Casino and distribute it to shelters, food banks, and local communities in need in Tuolumne County. Grant funds contributed to the purchase of 2 electric transit cargo vans for food recovery activities and the construction of a vehicle charging station. They have built a strong food recovery network in partnership with schools and community organizations. They also installed 2 Winnow AI systems to track and reduce casino kitchen waste, reduce over-purchasing, and encouraging smarter food preparation practices. The long-term impact of the project is creating 2 food recovery driver positions and 1 permanent environmental technician role. They have also committed to cultivating more partnerships and continuing the program beyond the grant period. Now I'll pass the presentation to my colleague, Mia Kawamoto, an environmental scientist in the statewide Technical and Analytical Resources Branch, to highlight some community composting projects.
Thank you, Stephanie. Chicken Ranch Rancheria also received a community composting grant for $97,000, creating a closed-loop system. They compost non-edible food waste from their casino using a concrete 3-stall system. The finished compost is applied on the tribal farm, and then food from the farm is donated to the community and used in the casino kitchen. Chicken Ranch Rancheria also hosts composting workshops and has a vermicomposting bin in their cultural center to teach kids about compost. The second cycle of the Community Composting for Green Spaces grant program provided funding by region. The Central Sierra region, shown on the map in light yellow, was managed by the lead grantee, California Alliance for Community Composting. This region has unique challenges due to mountain conditions and low population density. Transporting material can be costly, and the terrain limits the sites suitable for large-scale composting infrastructure. These types of decentralized community composting programs have offered a way for residents and businesses to compost their organics. This 3-bin aerated static pile system created by the grantee is designed to combat issues with heat and moisture loss, and they produced a guide on how to build that system. It has been built at 5 other community composting sites. The images on the slide show the solar panel that powers the blower that pushes air through the pipes at the bottom of the bins. This makes the composting process go faster and with less maintenance required for manual turning, and it also keeps pests out of the bins. LA Compost was awarded $1.2 million and supports over 60 compost sites in the Los Angeles region. They have held over 100 public events at their project sites and engaged hundreds of volunteers to develop green spaces in their communities. These community composting sites are small closed-loop systems where material is kept in the community rather than transported to a landfill or larger compost facility and then transported back to the community when they buy compost. LA Compost also donated compost to community groups that were affected by the Eaton fire. LA Compost emphasizes education and has partnered with many organizations to provide education and training to low-income communities. They provided soil testing and compost microscopy sessions, which encourages ownership and dedication by their staff and community members. They also provide bilingual education and hands-on activities in community gardens, schools, and libraries. Back to you, Ronalyn.
Hey, Ronalyn, before we turn it over to comments, I just wanted to thank Stephanie and Mia for that presentation. Really appreciate it. And also to the entire team that has worked on those programs. These projects have such a great community impact. Thank you.
Now to public comments. Do we have any public comment in the room? Go ahead.
Good morning, Nick Lapis with Californians Against Waste. Just want to thank you for this presentation and for this program. I think we don't do a good enough job telling people about the cool stuff we're funding here. And, you know, having fought for funding for both of these programs over the years and no one's ever heard of them and they kind of just get mixed in with everything else. But the impacts are just so much farther reaching than CalRecycle's mission. You know, whether it's the food banks and the, you know, impacts on food insecurity, or the community gardens and community composting spaces and the impacts they have on those communities. It's tremendous. I wish we did a better job telling the story, and I hope you guys keep yelling from the mountaintops. Thank you.
I will yell from the mountaintops. My name is Wanda Stewart. Talk about arriving just in time to see your organization up front. I'm the executive director of Common Vision. And I traveled from Berkeley to speak to you just so that you would know just what you're doing. Our program changed our school, changed our neighborhood. In West Oakland, in the lower bottoms, you can imagine who lives in a place called the lower bottoms. And we got to not just recover food right in time for SB 1383, but we did it with an org called Good Eggs. And Good Eggs has high-end organic food. I'm talking Strauss milk in glass bottles. And we were able to take that food and distribute it to families who were in our school gardens. And it has changed the way our kids eat. My favorite story is the principal was helping a kid open one of those horrible mayonnaise packets. And he said, thank you. And then he said, boy, do I wish it was some of that garlic aioli, right? And she had to go look up what aioli means. So she's eating better too, right? Or at least differently. And when our kids aren't hungry, and when they aren't fed junk, Cinnabons, and Sunny Delight, they come to school ready to learn. They come to school emotionally filled, and their brains are impacted. So please continue this work. We're trying to do it. We're building a movement down in Alameda County, and a lot of that was with your help. So I just needed to really thank you.
Thank you so much for coming here. Do we have any comments on Zoom or on the phone?
No comments at this time.
I'm looking ahead. Please raise your hand in Zoom or call in now if you have comments on grants and loans, covered electronic waste program updates, or permits and waivers. Branch Chief Lauren Barva joins us now with a grant program update.
Thanks, Ronalyn. The Beverage Container Recycling Grant Program's goal is to support CalRecycle's statewide goal of reaching and maintaining an 80% recycling rate for all California refund value beverage containers, aluminum, glass, plastic, bimetal, boxes, bladders, or pouches containing wine, distilled spirits, wine coolers, or distilled spirit coolers. Grant-funded projects are essential in reaching these goals. CalRecycle received a budget appropriation in fiscal years 2026, 27, and 2027, 28 of $1.5 million annually for each grant cycle in the form of grants for beverage container recycling and litter reduction programs. $75,000 is the minimum available for individual grant awards, and $275,000 is the maximum available for individual and regional application grant awards. Eligible applicants may apply for grant funds by submitting a complete application and all required documents listed in the application guidelines and instructions through CalRecycle's web-based grant management system. Applications are due on August 6th, 2026. The types of projects recommended for fiscal years 2026-27 and 2027-28 funding include the purchase and/or installation of recycling bins for collection of California refund value materials, purchase and installation of water refill stations, and new to this criteria, mobile water trailer bars. Implementation of the beverage container recycling programs through education and outreach, expansion of current beverage container recycling collection activities and projects located in disadvantaged communities, tribal entities, or border regions. Additional details about this program's criteria can be found in the posted item. Now for Michelle for project stewardship updates.
Lauren. Okay, so we have several updates on dealer cooperatives today. First, on May 8th, 2026, CalRecycle notified Circular CRV Association that its quarterly report for the first quarter of 2026 was incomplete. On May 11th, 2026, Circular CRV submitted its revised report, and CalRecycle has 30 days to notify Circular CRV if the report is incomplete. Additionally, on May 5th, Circular CRV submitted proposed changes to its stewardship plan, including amendments to the methods of redemption, capacity calculations, and geographic spread performance standards. On May 14th, 2026, Circular CRV rescinded its proposed plan changes and resubmitted the plan change request with corrections. CalRecycle has until June 15th to review and approve or disapprove the plan. On May 1st, Circular CRV notified CalRecycle of other changes to its approved stewardship plan, including changes to its dealer members and redemption sites, which do not require CalRecycle approval. And lastly, on April 28th, May 4th, and May 11th, Circular CRV notified CalRecycle that its stewardship plan became fully operational in convenient zones in Los Angeles, Studio City, Sherman Oaks, Vallejo, and Fairfield. Moving on, CalRecycle's decision on Med Project's proposed changes to its stewardship plan for home-generated sharps waste has been posted online and is linked in today's agenda. And with that, I will hand it over to Materials Management and Local Assistance Division Deputy Director, Kara Morgan.
So every year, CalRecycle has to make sure that our payment rates in the covered electronic waste recycling program cover the average net costs of collecting and recycling discarded video display devices. Our senior environmental scientist, Alex Grewal, is here with more details. Hi, Alex.
Thank you, Kara. This year, adjustments must be determined by July 1st. As part of our ongoing efforts to modernize the CEW recycling program, we engaged contractors G3 Consulting and KPMG with expertise in payment rate setting. The contractors conducted a detailed validation of the submitted reports and engaged directly with many participants to better understand current reporting practices and identifying opportunities for improvement. The contractors identified substantial issues with participant internal controls, insufficient understanding of the net cost report requirements by the participants, and problems with supporting documentation. These findings demonstrate the need for educational and outreach opportunities for participants to ensure data accuracy for any future rate adjustments. Staff determined that maintaining the current payment rates is the most prudent step while we continue working with the contractor to develop best management practices to improve data quality, as well as to provide targeted training and outreach opportunities to participants. Proposed rates were presented at a workshop for interested parties on April 16th. The department will work with the contractor to develop best management practices to improve data quality and to provide targeted training and outreach opportunities to participants. Staff recommends the director approve the covered electronic waste recovery and recycling payment rates for video display devices, regulations, and direct staff to make the necessary filings with the Office of Administrative Law to enact the regulations. Back to Deputy Cabello. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Let's watch a quick solid waste permit and waivers program explainer video followed by May 2026 updates from Branch Chief Robert Carlson.
To keep Californians healthy and protect our land, food, water, and air, CalRecycle and local enforcement agencies work together. Local enforcement agencies get community input, process permit applications, conduct inspections, and make sure solid waste facilities follow the law. CalRecycle verifies that permits for solid waste facilities, including landfills and compost sites, comply with state standards and inspections. Agreeing with the LEA that a permit is ready to be issued is known as concurring. Additionally, CalRecycle reviews approved emergency waivers and can modify, limit, or end them. Emergency waivers temporarily modify solid waste facility permits for up to 120 days and may be extended, providing relief for facility operators during disasters, and they're approved by local enforcement agencies. For waste tire facilities, CalRecycle issues and enforces waste tire facility permits to make sure tires are stored and processed safely. Scan this QR code or visit CalRecycle's website for more detailed information.
All right. Well, the department has taken 5 permit actions since our last monthly public meeting. I'll start with the revised solid waste permits. CalRecycle concurred on the revised solid waste facility permit for Rialto Bioenergy to update the hours of operation and traffic volume on April 28th. CalRecycle, as enforcement agency, issued a revised solid waste facility permit for HCIU CompoGas to change the operator's name and increase tonnage from 850 to 950 tons per week on May 8th. The department concurred on the revised solid waste facilities permit for Antelope Valley Public Landfill to update operating hours, increase total acreage and disposal acreage, and to increase design capacity from 30.2 to 43.9 million cubic yards on May 12th. Now moving on to modified solid waste permit. CalRecycle concurred with the modified permit for Regen. Sorry, we got a little static there. CalRecycle concurred with the modified permit for Regen Monterey Compost to add covered aerated static pile technology and updated site information on April 28th. Next, we have a new solid waste facilities permit. The department concurred with the issuance of the new permit for Free Point Ecosystems as a transfer processing facility to handle 855 tons per day, 147 vehicles per day, and with a total facility area of 77.57 acres on April 28th. More information about new and continuing items are linked in today's agenda and can also be found on CalRecycle's public notice webpage. Back to you, Deputy Director Cabello.
Right, sorry about that. Moving on. CalRecycle appreciates our staff's hard work to implement new programs, support existing ones, and for their commitment to serving Californians. Starting this month and going forward, we will highlight the ways our staff help make a difference at CalRecycle and in the communities they serve. Today, we want to tell you about Senior Environmental Scientist Dr. Emily Cregan. Give me one moment. My apologies. Environmental scientist Dr. Emily Cregan joined our Renewable Energy and Climate Change Unit in the Division of Materials Management and Local Assistance. In Emily's free time, she develops climate change education for K through 12 and college students. She has guided students in designing and implementing campus strategies for wastewater, energy, landscapes, and climate resilience. Thank you, Emily, for sharing your passion for the environment and for joining us here today. Would love for you to come up here and say a few words.
Thank you so much, Ron, Chris, and team for the recognition and time to share my passion today. In the courses I've developed, students implemented real-world climate change solutions on campus. In my government work, I've realized the critical importance of building a knowledge base on legislation I'm involved with. Related to the SB 1383 organic waste recycling mandate, I have led students in conducting waste audits, designing and implementing organic waste recycling on campus. This, from my perspective, builds a knowledge base that translates to home, whole community, and lifelong behavior change. I currently volunteer as the school's team lead for the Association of Compost Producers in California and with nonprofits nationally and internationally to cultivate this critical work. So thank you.
Thank you, Emily, for all the great work. Now to public comments. Do we have any public comments in the room today? Do we have any comments on Zoom or on the phone?
Yes, we have one person on Zoom. Kathy K., I'm going to ask you to unmute your mic and go ahead with your comment.
Hi, my name's Kathy Kinane and I live in Carlsbad, California. And I'm actually want to comment about the community composting program. SB 1383 currently legislates to treat for salmonella bacteria and metals, but it doesn't treat for fungus. And we went and picked up free mulch from the city of Carlsbad. Plant's Choice was the name of the vendor, and Republic Services, and it was contaminated with a fungus called Merliporia incensata, also known as the house-eating fungus. I think it's time that you guys look at revising SB 1383 to include fungus. The mulch, when the mulch is brought in from sources where you don't know where it came from, it needs to be treated like compost, and it needs to be heated to 150 to 160 degrees, or else the fungus can eat the person's home. And we went to the structural pest control board, and they only told us they don't track it. They only track termites and some other molds and funguses. This is a huge problem that's being created by SB 1383. The homeowners are taking the trunks of the tree, the roots of the tree, and the soil and putting it into the green waste. And I need you to take a look at that and do something about it, because homes that have crawl spaces or garages that meet up with the soil are exposed to this fungus that is deadly for your home. Thank you for listening. I hope you can do something about it.
Kathy, thank you so much. We really appreciate your comments, and our team will continue to look at this situation.
Those are all the comments on Zoom for now.
We'll post the public meeting recording in English and Spanish to our YouTube channel in the next few days. Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you next month.